That high-stakes Oval Office meeting about the debt ceiling is now over. After about an hour, there is still no deal. But there is some new common ground. There's a change in the way the negotiations are going to go down from here on out. And there's a really big change in the president's upcoming travel plans abroad to the G7. So more on all that in a second. But first, what they can agree on as of today.
We also agreed that we need to pass a bipartisan bill with bipartisan support in both chambers. I asked Speaker McCarthy, does he agree with that? And he said yes. And his bill, of course, is not a bipartisan bill.
We all agreed that default is not an acceptable option and must be avoided. And we all agreed that over the next few weeks, we have to proceed with the fierce urgency of now.
It's the how that's the problem. So let's be very clear. They are still very, very, very far apart on any deal, let alone a bipartisan one. But there is a significant change in the way the negotiations will move forward. Have you ever heard the saying, there's too many cooks in the kitchen? It seems that's what's been happening in these negotiations so far. So today, the president decided to remove a few of those cooks.
Appoint somebody from the president's team who can work with the speaker's team to see if we could come to an agreement. That is what the decision was made in this meeting. So the structure of how we negotiate has improved. So it now gives you a better opportunity, even though we only have a few days to get it done.
The speaker says it is possible a deal could get done by the end of the week, but there's certainly no guarantee. But with both sides digging in, what would a deal even look like?
Well, you'll know it when you see it, and that what that means is that we'll not sacrifice our values. They'll probably not sacrifice their values, but we'll have to come together on something that can avoid default. Default is a disaster, full stop. And everyone understood that in the room.
But to avoid default, we need to have the House and the Senate pass a bill. You just heard him. They want a bipartisan one. Then the president has to sign that bill before the U.S. goes off the cliff, which could happen as soon as June 1st. That's why the White House announced the second leg of President Biden's G7 trip was canceled. He will still leave tomorrow for Japan and attend the G7 meeting, but instead of returning to Washington, D.C. late next week, he'll leave early and come home either Sunday or Monday. That will get him back in D.C. during these critical days.